So are you a golfer that you want to get a lesson, but it's too expensive, you don't have time, you don't know where to go, or perhaps you're a teaching professional that when you're not on the lesson tee, you wouldn't mind as a side hustle to, pick up a couple of gigs here and there from the comfort of your phone and in your own home. Well, today on the Mod Golf Podcast YouTube channel, we're going to dig into all that. Hey, I'm Colin Weston with the Mod Golf Podcast. Just finished up a podcast episode with the co-founder and CEO of Swingtweaks. And Swingtweaks, hey, you want to get a lesson? You've got some problems with your swing, and believe me, I've got lots in mine. And you don't have the time to actually go for a lesson, that you want to get something a little bit quicker, and just one or two little suggestions on how you can tweak that swing. Well, I have the man for you, and that is Steve Madden, who is the co-founder and CEO of Swingtweaks. Steve, hey, good to see you again. How you doing?
I'm good, Colin, sir. How are you? Good to see
Doing
you
very
again,
well,
too.
sir. Very well. So yeah, we just finished up, as I mentioned, on the Mod Golf podcast, long form conversation where we dug into all the things that you're doing, your past, your connection to golf. So we're going to mix it up a little bit here. But before we do that, hey, why don't you let our viewers know what you're doing with Swingtweaks? What's going on?
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you the cold notes of Swingtweaks, I guess, as quick as I can. Effectively, what Swingtweaks is it's a more affordable and convenient way to get PGA professional instruction and get better at golf. The way it works is that you download the app, you sign up, you record your swing from two different angles. You tell the app what you think your problems are or the things that you want to work on. You submit it to the app. On the other side of the app, then we've got a bunch of PGA professionals who act just like Uber drivers. They pick up these swings as they come in. They put together really engaging and compelling video lessons for you. They narrate your swing video. They add markup. They show you what's going wrong and what you're doing well. They return that to you then with some drills and some advice for you to go to the practice range with. And so, effectively, a mini lesson on your phone. So for any golfer out there who's struggling to get better or needs a convenient option, I think we're that product for you.
There we go. There we go. All right. So I'm going to focus on something a little bit different than what we had on the podcast, because of course I want to encourage all of our viewers here to become listeners. So down below, you'll see in the notes here, we have the link for that conversation. But the first thing I want to ask you here, yourself as a user, as we talk about as entrepreneurs and founders with your product, your service, your experience you're creating, as they say, you got to eat your own dog food. You've got to test it yourself and kick the tires. So I know you are a 3 handicapper that is a scratch and you want to get back there this year, which of course drives me crazy because I'm been stuck at a 14, 15 for some time, and that's the best I've gotten. But hopefully with some tweaks, perhaps I'll get a little better. So tell us about your personal experience with Swingtweaks. What, when you go on the app, what feedback have you received that you need tweaked?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I submitted a tweet to a couple different pros, as I was testing this, and almost ubiquitously, the feedback I got was that I'm flipping at impact, and that is a thing that I do and I still do. It means that getting down to scratch or below again will be difficult because the days that my timing is off, I'm going to be off the planet. Like long and left is my miss because of that flip at impact. And so what the golf pros have recommended to me is that, work on my rotation. I got a bunch of awesome drills for that. It's easier said than done because once you're a flipper, you're always a flipper, as far as I can tell. And yeah, so like what I've been working on now on the range is making sure that I am focusing on getting onto my left side and making sure that I'm going knee to knee. And that was the drill that I got sent. So make sure that my left knee and my right knee are touching at the end. I tend to flare when I flip, but if those knees can be touching, I get in a much better impact position.
The dreaded flipping flip. Well, I was out there just playing some pitch and putt this morning, and I was flipping my gap wedge a couple of times and yanking it
Yeah.
way left, which is my miss also. One thing I found very interesting as far as where you are, we talked earlier about as far as growth, perhaps in other countries and other languages, but I want to kind of steer that in a different direction here. Right now, it's full swing analysis we're looking at here. Where I really struggle as a 14 handicap is my short game, especially. Believe me, I got weaknesses everywhere, but the short game, as far as pitching around the green and working on that. So is that something in the future you're looking at as far as short game, pitching, chipping, and then even putting? Is that something right now with Swingtweaks you can have analyzed, or is that something in future you're looking to build out?
Yeah, well, so putting is interesting. We've already had a couple people submit some putting strokes. Now that was never part of the plan. Like we were always full swing was kind of our thinking, but you can never predict your user's behavior. So it was awesome to see guys submit some putting strokes, and they got awesome lessons back from our PGA pros. Short game is a different beast, and it's something that I really want to dig into. I think that if we were to go down this short game route, we'd have to start by campaigning and talking to professionals around what angles and how they want the swing recorded. Because like most people, short game is idiosyncratic. Like how open the club is, which way you're swinging, how you treat different lies. That's all those variables are much harder to nail down on video than full swing, which is two different angles. And with full swing as well, a lot of golfers, if you ask them day to day, how they're swinging, they will tell you that it feels different or I'm not swinging the same way as I usually do. But by and large, they are. And so full swing videos are very easy to kind of get and make work for Swingtweaks. Short game, even bunker play is something I think we're going to move into and try and figure out a way to get angles that make a lot of sense for a pro to analyze. And once you've got that nailed down, then the rest of the flow actually just works. But it's just making sure that we campaign and we ask enough PJ professionals around what angles they want to see, what impact position they want to see before we kind of roll that out.
Interesting. Okay, we did take a deep dive into Swingtweaks on the podcast, so I'm going to flip it around here and ask you some fun questions around golf. And you've only been playing for a few years. You shared your first golf experience on the podcast, so we'll just encourage people to go back to listen to that fun story. But curious to hear some of your moments as far as golf. I certainly have my own here. So share with us if you ever got a hole in one, it's been close, what you consider one or two of your most celebratory golf moments, maybe that's a whole round or a certain shot, and maybe on the other end of the spectrum, a crazy golf fail that at the time drove you crazy, but now makes for a good story.
Okay. I have got a hole in one. I actually got it around 8 weeks into my golfing career.
What?
I was at Fox Hollow here in Calgary. So a lot of people, it's unfair. They don't count this because of the hole that it was on, but I mean, I'm counting it. So, whatever. I had a 9-iron, I think it was 135 yards uphill. And I did definitely thin it a little bit, And it landed short. And I didn't see it go in because it was an uphill shot. We get up there, me and my buddy Brent and two marshals from the course were with us. And I didn't even think it would be in the hole. Like that's not what I think after golfing for 8 or 9 weeks, but it was. And so, yeah, that was my hole in one story. I actually lost that ball about 3 holes later, which I'm gutted about. I should have put it in the bag, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then my second one was actually my first round in the 60s, which was last year. I was 69 at Sirocco here in Calgary. I was playing with a buddy of mine, Dave Elsey, and we were coming down 18. And I don't know if you know the 18th hole at Sirocco here, but it's like a two landing area approach, and so the tee shot's really hard. And I was so nervous. Coming on. Like my putt on 18 for birdie was about 4 feet short, and then I had to make a 4-footer for the 60s. And that was horrendous. It almost is my best and worst golf experience. The feeling of that 4-foot putt, but then making it was absolutely awesome.
But you knew what it meant there, the pressure. I've only broken 80 once. I shot 79. It was during a match play competition net, and the guy already had to give me about 10 strokes. And he thought for sure I was sandbagging. And I just said, no, dude, that was my best round ever by 3 shots. But I didn't know that final birdie putt was for a 79. If I would have known, I might have crumbled. But it sounds like you embraced the pressure there, and you responded. Well done.
Yeah, I think that like not knowing would have been better. I think you had the right approach. I'm that guy. Like I know exactly what I'm shooting. I know what everybody in my group is shooting. And so So I had no chance there. I mean, worst golf story or like biggest golf fail. I hate telling this story because it's actually a little bit embarrassing, but I think I five putted last year on the Sirocco fifth hole at some point. I think it might have been during Club Champs, but I helicoptered my putter into the tree after that. Putter was fine, which is surprising. But yeah, not a great look. So, you know, even golf is frustrating, I guess.
Well, that's one way to keep 4 putts off your scorecard, I guess, is by 5 putting. There you
Yeah,
go.
or not having a putter. I can count everything as a zero putt.
Well, thank you for sharing that story, because but those are the ones we remember, right? It's our human brains are kind of hardwired with any experiences in life to remember on either end of the spectrum, and everything else kind of falls by the wayside of everyday life there and everyday golf. So I appreciate you actually willing to share that 5 putt with us. Well done. Well
Yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I hope. Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, I think every golfer at some point goes through the "Will I toss this putter?" feeling. And if they say they don't, I don't know if I believe them. It's just a lot of golfers probably have a bit more self control than I did at that moment. Um, I still have that putter though; it still sits here, pride of place in my house. So, you know, it's a good story.
There you go. There you go. So, hey, to finish around, I want to flip it up again here. About entrepreneurship. So yourself as an entrepreneur and multi-time founder, what can you share with our audience, people that are viewing here, that maybe they've got an idea, whether it's in the golf space or not, and they've thought about entrepreneurship or don't know where to start, and are kind of looking at that to start their own business, or they've got a product idea. Perhaps you can share with us maybe a couple of cautionary tales, maybe tips or things that you've learned along the way, things that have worked, things that have, or what you've learned along the way here in your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the philosophy that I follow, and I'm lucky to have a co-founder who also follows this philosophy, is that, and for any person out there who wants to start a business, I think this is an awesome tip, is just to find clarity through action. So don't wait and overthink the idea. Do it. Like, test it is the cheapest way you can possible. And then you know more. Like, if you sit there and think about an idea and why it won't work 1,000 times, you will find 1,000 reasons it won't work. But if you go and do it, you have that clarity through engagement, or sorry, through action. And that's kind of how I operate. Just go and build it, go and do it. Like, if you want to figure out if a user would like this, build a website and sell it, even if you don't have it. And then, you know, if you get no sales, well, maybe you need a better product or you need a better marketing pitch. If you do get sales, go and build a product. So yeah, I guess like the big thing for me is just be action biased.
I like that a lot. Not unlike golf, in the sense that you need to commit to it. Just you got to commit to your swing there, over water, whatever it could be. You know, don't think of the bad stuff that may happen. Just have a vision, visualize it, and commit to that particular swing, or that particular endeavor. Just to give it a shot. And
Exactly.
great advice. Great advice. So, hey, Steve, to finish up here, where can our viewers find out more about Swingtweaks?
For sure. So the website for Swingtweaks is app.swingtweaks.com. That gives you an awesome overview of how the app works, where to buy tweaks, whether through the app or on the website. There's a lot of information there. We're most active in social media on Instagram, and our handle is @SwingTweaksApp. I am working diligently at pushing out Twitter and TikTok, social media posts and stuff. But I think Instagram is kind of our spiritual home from a social media standpoint.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, down below, I'll include the links to all of those and the podcast episode that I mentioned. It's been a great conversation. It was great getting together with you at the PGA Show for a couple of pints of Guinness there, and hope to do that in person again over a round of golf this time. That would be great when we get a chance to meet. You're mentioning you're going to come into Vancouver, so look forward to that, Steve, when that happens. Hopefully very soon, sometime this summer.
Awesome. Yeah, and I guess like it's always a pleasure to chat with you, Colin, so I really appreciate it. Just one last thing for anybody watching it, smash that subscribe button down there and give Colin a subscribe, because I know that you will enjoy all the content coming.
Wow. Didn't have to pay you for the marketing on that. I appreciate that.
No.
All right. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining me today on the Mod Golf YouTube channel.
Awesome. Thanks, Colin.